Hello my dear students, welcome in my channel. Today we are going to learn about gender studies. So let us learn what we will learn today. We will learn influence of family, caste, religion, culture, region and media on gender identity. So first we will learn what is concept of gender identity. Gender identity is each person's internal and individual experience of gender. It is a person's sense of being a woman or a man. Understanding gender identity. Children's gender identity develops in complexity during the middle childhood years. At this development moment, children have become aware of gender stereotypes, having to do with how boys and girls are supposed to think and act. Correspondingly, children start to identify certain activities and abilities as being characteristically masculine and feminine. Most children develop a clear-cut sense of whether they are boys or girls at a young age. This sense of being a boy or a girl is called gender identity. Gender identity development describes how young children learn to understand their gender and what being that gender means in their everyday life. It is difficult for a child to grow to adulthood without experiencing some form of gender bias or stereotyping. Whether it is the expectation that boys are better than girls at maths and the idea that only females can nurture children. So this we call gender stereotyping. As children grow and develop, the gender stereotypes they are exposed to at home are reinforced by other elements in their environment and are thus perpetuated throughout childhood and on into adolescence. A child's sense of self and self concept is a result of the multitude of ideas, attitudes, behaviors, and beliefs to which he or she is exposed. Influence of family on gender identity. Let us see. Family influence plays a significant role in shaping gender roles. The family is the primary environment where children learn about gender roles and expectations. Parents, through own gender roles and attitudes, directly impact the gender roles of their children. Role of family on gender identity. Parents, through their own gender roles and attitudes, directly impact the gender roles of the children. The environment, including factors outside the family, such as neighbors and media, also influences the implementation of gender equality within the family. Different family structures, such as single parent families, can affect the distribution of gender roles types in both parents and children. Additionally, the emotional state of parents and their own gender identity can influence children's attitudes towards gender and gender choices. Overall, family plays a crucial role in the socialization and development of gender roles in children. Family teaches gender roles. Yes, gender role. Boys and girls learn the appropriate behavior and attitudes from the family and overall culture in which they grow up, and that non-physical gender differences are a product of socialization. Social role. Social structure is the underlying force behind gender differences, and that the division of labor between two sexes within a society. It motivates the differences in their respective behavior. Division of labor creates gender roles, which in turn lead to gender specific social behavior. Family and socialization. Primary socialization. The socialization that occurs during childhood and depends mostly on a child's family members is typically the most long-lasting and influential phase of socialization. Therefore, the gender roles learned from family will endure. The family is the most important agent of socialization because it serves as the center of the child's life. The division of labor between men and women contributes to the creation of gender roles, which in turn lead to gender specific social behavior. The division of labor creates gender roles, which in turn lead to gendered social behavior. Now, what is influence of caste on gender identity? Let us see. First, we will see what is the definition of caste. Caste is a hereditary, endogamous, usually localized group having traditional association with an occupation and a particular position in the local hierarchy of castes. Relations between castes are governed among their things by the concept of purity and pollution, and generally maximum commensality occurs within the castes. So this is the definition given by Srinivas. Let us discuss caste and gender in Indian context. So these are the beliefs. In Manu Dharma Shastra, women are seen as untruthful, being having an indiscriminate love of ornaments, anger, meanness, treachery, and a bad conduct. Men have to control and impose restrictions on women. They need to be closely guarded day and night by men. Women's sexuality had to be organized by pa- paternal power. So these are the beliefs in Manu Dharma Shastra. Women are symbols and represent the honor of their community. So women in the upper caste, they are symbol of and they represent honor of their community. The chastity of women is strongly related to caste status. Generally, the higher ranking of caste, the more sexual control its women are expected to exhibit. Upper caste women should be faithful to one husband and should not cross their boundaries. They had no right to remarry. On the other hand, other caste women are allowed to go out for work. Women in upper caste societies live their lives largely within the familial parameters. Their mobility is severely restricted and they are not permitted to go out for work. Women play the key roles in maintaining the sanctity and purity of the home. Women in the lower castes. Lower caste women are victims of both caste and discrimination and gender discrimination. Lower caste women are sexually exploited by powerful upper caste men owning land. It is not only difficult for low caste men to protect their women against the lust and desire of the upper caste masters, but also protest against evil customs. Women of upper caste are entitled to certain privileges, but lower caste women are doubly oppressed. Women of the lower caste are most disadvantaged lot. They are victims of both gender discrimination and caste inequality. Subordination of women in both upper and lower caste based on societies. Women in India are treated as inferior and lowly by their male counterparts. Women are treated as subordinates and their sexuality is controlled by men. In India, caste system is an important institution. This feature makes the Indian society highly stratified and hierarchical. Caste and gender are highly correlated. Both women of upper caste and lower caste face gender discrimination at every step of their life. It is their men who control their destiny. Now, what is influence of religion on gender identity? Religion is not just an intangible and abstract set of beliefs, but also something that is practiced by both men and women. The gender roles that are socially inscribed, women's experiences within religion are very different from those of men. In various anthropological theories, this is presented that both men and women are expected to follow norms of the religion. Women have more religious duties than men. Women's behavior is shaped to follow different roles and norms in the socialization processes. Women grow up creating and placing themselves in a fantastically reality made up of the supernatural world, which includes deities, sacred bodies, images, and places. Rituals, of course, play a big part in their lives. And elderly women have important roles to play in the religiousness of the society, and their knowledge of the supernatural, spiritual, mystical, and ritual. They are the ones who carry this forward from one generation to the next generation. Influence of culture on gender identity. Concept of culture. Culture provides the context in which gender roles, identity, and stereotypes unfold, as well as parameters regarding sexual behavior. Culture affects variation in gender related behaviors between individuals within a cultural group as well as variation between cultures. Culture provides the context in which gender roles, identity, and stereotypes unfold as well as parameters regarding sexual behavior. Culture affects variation in gender related behaviors between individuals within a cultural group as well as variation between cultures. Culture can maximize, minimize, or even eliminate gender differences in social behaviors and cognitions. Indeed, it is impossible to separate gender and culture. Culture and gender are closely connected with biological factors creating predispositions of sex and gender development. However, socio-cultural factors are critical determinants leading to gender differences in roles and behaviors that may be modest but culturally important. Culture has profound effects on gender related behavior, values, identity, roles, and how these are regarded in various social contexts. Culture governs the socialization of the children, the tasks children are taught, the roles adult men and women adopt, and the expectations that govern women's and men's attitudes and behaviors. Now, influence of region on gender identity. Region plays important role on gender identity. However, women are at subordinate place in the society. Urban women are more conscious about their rights than rural women. In rural India, women are often engaged in unpaid domestic work and agricultural labor, yet they have limited ownership or control over land and resources. This economic dependence on others leaves them vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. In many rural areas, girls still face barriers to accessing education. Early marriage, household responsibilities, and the lack of schools nearby are some of the factors that hinder girls' education. Influence of media on gender identity. Media play important role in how people form their identities, social norms, and values in relation to gender. Research shows that from a young age, children are influenced by the gendered stereotypes that media present to them. For example, Plan International and the Gina Davis Institute on Gender Media conclude that girls and young women lose confidence and ambition if they do not see role model and women as leaders on screen. Gender inequality in media content exists through both the underrepresentation and misrepresentation of women. Men are far more likely to be visible as journalists, experts, and subjects than women, and also to be portrayed in a way that values their opinions, experiences, and professions. Gender inequality is also clearly visible within media institutions. Even though an increasing number of women are studying and entering the journalism profession, they continue to face significant barriers to safety, support, and career progression, and remain underrepresented in the sector. Gender inequalities that are present across many aspects of society are reflected in the media. Media can perpetuate gender inequalities but also have the power to address and challenge them. There is an enormous potential for media to show more balanced, inclusive, and diverse portrayals of gender, thereby contributing to a more just society. Representation of women in media. Worldwide, women are underrepresented in the media and often portrayed in a stereotypical way. This is an enormous potential for media to show a wider variety of roles and behaviors of people of all genders, thereby challenging gender inequalities and expanding the range of people society look up to as role models. Thank you so much. Keep watching. Join my Telegram channel for updates. Link is given in the description box and please subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.